I pulled off the old carving and marking note. There it is there. And there was a second section. Oh, which I've lost. Anyway, there was a second section which had the official number on. So what I did was, I've just written down the space that it would take up in the new format. This is the new format. So the official number, and then the 6 digits, and the something tonnage. I don't know what the N is for, but that's the tonnage, 10.43. So I've made that so that it fits this one piece, which according to SSR, they now don't mind if everything is just on one piece of wood. Sorry. This is better, I think. Okay. What I've done is I've measured using this wonderful tool I bought online for about £3 or something ridiculous. It does all kinds of clever straight lines, drill sizes, set square, or it's got all kinds of stuff on. It's Wolfcraft. Check that out. I love it. I absolutely love it. So what I've done basically is I drew on paper the official number, then the number, and then the tonnage, and the tonnage here, and I've drawn it on the paper so that I can get an idea of what kind of widths I need. So then I've transferred that. I think you can see the pencil mark on the wood. I've drawn that on the back with the gaps in as well, so there's a gap between NT and the number, a gap between the official number and the tonnage, and a gap between NT and the number. Now SSR state that where in my boat I used to have two pieces of wood, there was this one which was a registered tonnage, and there's the other one which carried the official number, and I don't know where I've put that now. It'll be knocking around somewhere, but they say they're more than happy to have it on just one piece as long as it's clearly seen. Well, once I've transferred all these numbers to this, believe it or not, they're actually about the same size. They're not much different than the original. So I think that's going to be absolutely fine. So the next step is to pencil in the actual letters, and I've got to get them as neat as I possibly can, because it's very difficult to rub out on the wood. I've had to sand this once to get rid of the marks and redo them. So I want to get all the letters and the numbers neat, and then I can use the wonders of modern technology called a Dremel with a router attachment and a small router bit, and then it should be fairly easy, hopefully, to carve everything out myself. Because this, believe it or not, can cost like 150 quid, depending on where you go. 150 quid, and obviously somebody has to do all the things that I've done, so it takes them time, so that's what they're charging for. But I'm retired now, so I've got the time, so I don't mind doing all this myself and saving the money. So I'll show you when I've got the numbers and letters put in, and then I'll show you when I might film the working with the Dremel, because it'll be the very first time I've worked with it, and it should be a bit of a giggle, especially if I get it wrong. So we'll see what that's like. I'm going to show you what I've been messing around with for about an hour, at least an hour if not more. This is the hand pen tip, if you want to call it that, from a Dremel, and I'm going to use this by hand to do this number 2. That sounds rude, but I'll actually mean the number 2. I'm sorry about the noise. Right, that's the number 2. I hope you can see it all right. And I've done a couple of others. I bought the Dremel router, plunge router, which is knocking around somewhere. I threw it in disgust. I've absolutely wasted so much time on that thing. It's the most incredibly difficult thing to set up, and once you set up, it's not really very easy to use. You need a whole kind of jig on a table, if you like, to use it most effectively. So if you can see this, the O and the N, they're pretty darn rough, and that was done with the plunge router, and it's pretty darn rough. I'm a bit gutted because I had practiced it as well on a spare piece of wood, but I thought I had it right, and then when I went to actually do it, I didn't. So this was done by hand. This was done with a different bit by hand, and I'm going to do the rest by hand with my, oh dear me, I'm not going to do it if I throw it on the floor, am I? So I'm going to do the rest with my 225, apparently this is, which just means this thing, it plugs in on a cable to your Dremel, and there's a Dremel with it plugged in, and then you use it kind of like a pen, I suppose. So we'll just turn the speed up a touch. I'm on about 1700 revs, I think, and then we'll try a 0. I hope you can see what's going on here, because I know there's a lot of shadows at the moment. Right, so the trick is to not go too deep, too fast, and to control not just the depth but the speed you're going and the direction you're going. And 1700 seems to be quite a decent speed for the bit. It's not getting too hot, it's not catching on the wood, it's not going very deep, but then I'm not going to go very deep. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to get a different router bit, which is this one, and as you can see, the tip on that is fairly, at least I hope you can see, is that in focus? I can't even tell under here if that's in focus or not, but that bit, once it's in that hole, it'll be easy to use. So the bit I've got in presently, if you can see, is fairly rounded. It's a fairly rounded tip, so I'm just really gouging a mark, and then I'll go back with this sharp tip, and I shall put a bit of depth into it. The new rules for marking and carving apparently allow you to do the entire thing on one strip of wood, which is why can you see that? Is that the right way up? I can't even tell because I'm not very good at this camera and malarkey, but the whole thing fits on one. So what I plan to do, I've got this cunning plan which I have no idea if it'll work or not, but I want to do it anyway. What's the best way to put this so you can see something interesting while I'm talking? There you go. What I'm planning to do is, once I've got all the numbers and letters dug down a little bit to a little bit of depth, so they match somewhat the original, I'm going to grind some pencil lead up, and I'm going to grind that, I'm going to push it and compress it into the letters and the numbers so it blacks the wood, and then sand the whole of the face of the wood so that it's not only carved in but also it's blacked with, not lead really, but graphite from a pencil. thinking about it, I wonder if you just got a pencil and just went like that, that might work. But well, we'll see. I had this idea that it would work better if I put the powder in and kind of pushed it into the wood, so it maybe had a bit of glue to it or something to make sure that it stays there. And then, as I say, sand the wood down. So I'm going to crack on with this. 8's next, and I don't want you to see how angry I get trying to do an 8, because that's not going to be easy. So I'm going to switch the camera off, and we'll keep that delight for another time. So things that I've learned already. It's easier to go across the grain rather than along the grain, because when you're going along the grain, the bit gets pulled away by the grain. And I suppose to a woodworker that's probably damned obvious, but to me it wasn't until now. But it's easier to go across the grain. And the other thing is, and I hope you can hear me over this, is I've found by far, once I get this into shot, is it in shot? I hate this filming malarkey, I have to admit, I'm not very good at it. It's quite frustrating, I don't even know what I'm bloody well doing, but anyway, there we go. Right, I think it makes utter sense as well to simply go very slowly. I'm going against the grain now, so that's easy, or easier, but you'll see as soon as I go with the grain I tend to make mistakes. But it's easier to do one small mark, follow up with another one, which wasn't very good there. And I think I'll actually leave it at, no, I'll do another one. I'm going to do another gentle one. Remember, I want to do it with this sharp bit as well later on to make it deeper. But some full stop. But yes, so it's much easier to actually go quite slowly and just make a gentle mark in the wood. And then do a couple, and it doesn't look too bad at all. I haven't quite got this following the... Where's my Dremel suddenly speeded up? Can anybody hear that? Hear the speed of that suddenly go different? $1,700. Is that because I'm bending the cord? There's probably an angle that you have to stick to. So the last one, the number 3. Let's see how I do with this. Not great. Bit better. Bit better. Not bad at all. Yeah, I've just looked, and this Dremel cord I don't know what they call it, but it's like it's an extension. You plug this in to your Dremel, and then you plug a tool in the end of that, and you use it like a pen. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, it has a maximum bend you can put in it before it starts to go a little bit awry, so that explains the change in speed. Something that you get used to, I think. It doesn't take very long to get used to it. I think the 1043 on the end here is far better than this number at the beginning. And now I've got on this, but I mean the ON official number, and then this as well, the 1, they were all done with the plunge router, which I think the plunge router may be okay if you've got a proper table, if you've got a jig or something. You can clamp this down, and you can put a shim of wood either side, so you're creating an exact same height platform for the plunge router to move along on. And it takes a lot of setting up. It's so fiddly. You're constantly adjusting, and you need a lot of scrap wood to mess around with. I actually used, where's it gone? Oh, I was going to show you the scrap of wood I used, but I've lost it. All it was the original carving mark was in 2 parts on my board, so I simply used the other old one. What they did on the original, they tended to use straight lines even for the numbers. See, they've used just a sequence of straight lines, and I could have done that, and I did debate doing it because it may have made things easy, but now I know how difficult the plunge router is to work. I've decided that wouldn't have been the way to go for me, so this is the way to go for me. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. I'm going to have a cup of tea now before I start with this aggressive looking thing, and start just putting a little bit of depth. Well, I'll have to sort that 8 out as well, and then I'll put some depth into this. But overall, you know, I'm actually really pleased. I'm actually really quite chuffed with how that's going to come out in the end. I'll keep you updated with the progress anyway. Well, I've had a bit of a play. Now what's in shot? Is this in shot? It's going to be in shot. I swapped out that bit that I was going to use for the depth. If you look, this was the one I was going to use, and it's really pretty sharp. So I decided that rather than go deep and have to go deeper and deeper and deeper to make that, I'd use this one, which is quite sharp, obviously, compared to this drill, this route a bit, but it's wider. See, it's wider at the tip. It flares out more sudden, and so I've just tried on the 9 and the 5, and I'm pretty okay with those results. I'm pretty happy with those results. So I'm gonna do some more. I hope you can see this. It's not. This bit too is fairly easy to use. I think I'm going to make mistakes with it still. I like that. But I don't think I'm making as many mistakes. As I did with the other bit. So you can see that, can't you? I am in shot. Right, I'm actually really chuffed with that. I'm actually really chuffed. Is that the right way up? Should it be that way up? I can't tell. Maybe it should be like that. Is that better? I'm actually really chuffed with that. Sod the router. I think the plunge router might get sent back for a refund. It's absolutely useless. I think I've done better by hand on this section than I did with the plunge router here. So, and with that second bit, I was using quite a lot of pressure to get it quite deep, and I found that helped me maintain, because I was using a much stronger effort. It helped me maintain a decent line and a decent depth, consistent depth. So I think I'm actually chuffed with that. The next step, as I said, will be In fact, let me get my if there's anybody in from Radisson Blue, I did not steal this. It was given to me as a gift. So now you see, that's going to be a lot of effort to try and get every part of the groove penciled. It's actually going to be a lot of effort. I'm going to have to continually sharpen the pencil and do the side and whatnot and what have you. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to just break all the carbon up and mix it with a little bit of PVA or something. Push all that in everywhere, and because that looks quite black, but that might have been burned, I'm not sure. Well, that's an option. I could burn it, couldn't I? I could use a soldering iron. But I'll try the black first, and then sand the whole thing, and then put some oil on or something to make it look pretty. And I'll show you the end result eventually. Okay. I'm going to record all of this because I know that some people like all this kind of stuff. So that's the attachment that we have to fit to the Dremel. For the extension adapter cord to fit. Which is not in for some reason. I always find this quite fiddly, I don't know why. That's it. Nice and tight, okay. And then we're going to fit. I've fitted these chucks. They're basically just like a drill chuck, you see, rather than using the collets and chucks that come with the Dremel. You get these just for a few pounds. You get a pack of 3 for a few pounds, £6 or something, can't remember. But generally you don't even need to use the small wrench to tighten it up either. You just give it a very strong turn and that's usually okay. So that's the bit that I'm using, and the intention here is simply to smooth all this out, to smooth everything, because it's been done by hand, and so I'm just going to smooth it all down. So sorry for the noise, but it is what it is. Just going to set this speed at about 1500 because I think that's all I need. I don't think I've ever used it at the full 3000 that it can do. So I think 1500 will be nice just for this, because we're just going to be smoothing. So for those who like this kind of stuff, here we go. So, you've got to bear in mind, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. When I first started, this was done with the Dremel plunge router, I should say. And I was trying to emulate the original carving note, which created all the numbers and letters through a series of straight lines. Now that probably makes sense if you've got a CNC cutter, or if you're very established with using a router, which I'm not. I've never used a router in my life, and I found it actually quite difficult to use. I didn't like it at all. So I gave up after I'd done the 0 and the N, the O and the N, and then the 1 as well. I gave up using that that kind of yeah, so that's why this is untidy. But then what I decided to do was use the extension cord, and it's almost like you almost use it like a pen, a very heavy pen, but you almost use it like a pen. And I basically just hand done it. I've drawn it as if I was drawing with a pen. And it's not perfect, you can see it's not perfect, but you know, it's not bad. There's just a couple of little things I want to touch up there, I think. Yeah, you know, when you reach that point where you see any more improvements are going to spoil it. So I think I'm done, and I think I'm really chuffed with how it's worked out. You know, I've never used a router before, so I can excuse myself for not being very good at that. I've never actually used the Dremel in this way before, with a router bit and just kind of engraving, if you like. And so I think I can be excused for that, but the idea is certainly sound. If I had any more wood, because this is the original carving mark, or part of it, and I just turned it over to retain, it's a bit of history, I suppose, really. That's kind of, what, 45 years old, that was that there. Anyway, so if I had more wood, will I do it again? Probably, but I'm not going to go and seek any more wood. So what I'm going to do now is I was going to crush the graphite in a pencil and squeeze it into here, but I don't think I'll do that anymore now. I think I'll find some kind of spray paint and just give it a little spray to cover it all, because this whole face has to be sanded anyway. So the face is going to take the black off and get back down to wood, and oil that and make it look beautiful, but the black will remain inside, because on that side It looks almost as if it's been burned. It probably hasn't. They might have just put oil in it or something. I don't really know. But that's the effect I want to have on this. I want to seal that with something. So, yeah. So there you go. I thought I'd make that video because I know some people like seeing tools being used. And that's it now. It's finished apart from the hand sanding and the blackening, and then of course I've got to screw it on, and apparently the rules say you have to use screws that you can actually cut the heads off, or a blind rivet or something like that. The originals were something like this. I think these are copper, or yeah, that looks like copper, doesn't it? And that's just kind of a nail head, but where it came through there was kind of a rivet end on it. That must be what they call a blind rivet. I've never seen one before, but they were the originals that came. So there we go, all done. I hope you enjoyed that. And here we have the finished article. I am very, very chuffed with this. Very chuffed indeed. I didn't use pencil in the end. I actually used a Sharpie to just lightly put small kind of lines in there, but it's gone darker than I expected it to. But yeah, I still hate the bit that I did with the router, but hey-ho, it's done, can't change it. But you know, there it is, looking great. Well, I think it looks great anyway. So I just thought I'd show you the end result.